Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm here today with Bruce McCurdy of the Edmonton Journal. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David Staples of the Edmonton Journal. You forgot to
forgot
introduce
that.
yourself.
Yeah, it's one of those nights. Nothing's going right for anyone in Edmonton, Bruce.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
We're all screwed.
No.
Oh, man.
At least I covered you off, which is more than some of the Oilers did for other Oilers tonight.
Ain't that the truth? Whew, would have been nice to see that, wouldn't it? Just something go right. Because there was a lot, if in some ways they're two relatively close games that they've played against the Toronto Maple Leafs somewhat, but it's just like the Leafs are just out hustling them, outworking them at every turn, Bruce, and out chancing them. Again, it was tonight, the grade A chances were 11-8 for the Leafs, which isn't a huge margin, but that's significant. That's one goal. Now that was a 3-goal difference. The Oilers lost 3-0. But again, we're seeing, anyway, let's just do our podcasting. And I want to go watch this on TV. I was just telling you, I've been watching the show The Expanse on Amazon, and if you're looking for something to pick up your spirits after this, after you listen to the podcast tonight, as some of you guys do late at night, well, just watch The Expanse. Fantastic sci-fi show. Bruce, this is our 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast. And because we're so disheartened by the Oilers' loss, we will only have 2 bad things each, rather than our usual 4 after a bad loss, because we're just kind of disheartened.
One good thing each instead of 2?
Well, we usually have, after a loss, we usually have 2 bad things each.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We're just going to go with 2 bad things, instead of 4, because we're just kind of, we don't want to belabor it or something. Okay, what's your good thing?
Yeah, I'm going to credit Jujhar Khaira from the Oilers. I'm just liking his game, and I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot this last while. And he phone off. Another good thing. I love the way he's skating. I like the way he's getting involved with the hitting. The way he transports the puck now. He's just playing with so much more confidence. And his diving wraparound the net tonight was one of Edmonton's very best chances, and just from a pure hustle play on his part. He was 3 out of 7 on the dot tonight, but he's been winning more than he's been losing for the last number of games. And he's looking more comfortable as a center than as a winger. I always thought his future was as a winger, but once again, I was wrong. He now looks very comfortable in the pivot role and playing in the middle of the ice and doing those big body things that big body centers do. I've got nothing really bad. I think he might have got beat on one play tonight, but I thought he was strong.
I agree, Bruce, and I would say that if 4 years ago, when he was in the HL and dominating, if you had asked me what's kind of his upper end as an NHL player, what do you hope that he could become, and he is now it, Bruce. He is now, and he's been that way. He's been this player for a full month. Now, Jujhar Khaira has gone through other very good spells in his career as an Edmonton Oilers, which have lasted for a month or 2. So this doesn't mean we're out of the woods with this player, because he does seem to lose his confidence, I think is the best way to put it. I'm not inside his head, I'm just guessing, but it looks to me like he loses his confidence, becomes tentative with the puck, and starts to make turnovers. He's just really confident with the puck right now, and he's hustling like hell, and he's playing his position very well. There was the one chance where I thought he got a little too high up, and he allowed, I think it was Justin Hall, if I'm not mistaken, to move in and get a scoring chance shot, he and Ennis. But other than that, he was just super solid defensively. He, the nitty gritty dirt line was the best line on the Oilers tonight, on a night when none of the lines were that great. Jujhar Khaira, he's not out of the woods, as I say, but he's getting there. He's getting there, Bruce, and it's fantastic to see. I had a poll today, actually, of asking fans what they thought the need was for the playoffs. And let me just see if I can find the results here, because one of the questions was for third line center, and not many people voted for that, actually. So that was That was a vote of confidence for. Okay, here's the poll. What is the Oilers' top priority at the coming trade deadline? We've had 1,600 people vote so far. So the first pick is a top goalie, 47%. That vote isn't going to change after tonight, I don't think. The second is a top attacking winger, 21%. That actually might go up after tonight. A third line center, 16%. And no major trade needed, 16%. So there's a small minority of fans who see a hole at the center position. And I know Gaetan Haas is getting picked on a bit because of his face-offs, but like quite honestly, Bruce, face-offs are an overrated aspect of the game, especially at even strength. And Haas is fine at even strength as a center. I really do not want to see Kyle Turris come back and replace him. And I certainly don't want to see Turris replace Jujhar Khaira because he is playing well. My good thing, Bruce, unless you have something to add, do you have a thought?
Go for it.
My good thing is this was a real wake-up call for the Edmonton Oilers, I think, and frankly for us fans. But, we're not on the ice. Everyone, I think, was hoping secretly that Edmonton was going to win at least 2 out of 3 here and maybe somehow get 3 out of 3 because the Oilers have been going so strongly. 11 wins in 13 games and playing very well. Although in the last few games, the scoring chances were evening up. And in the first 4 games this year against Toronto, I thought Edmonton was the better team most 4 of the games, in all 4 of them. They only won 2, but I thought actually Edmonton had a slight edge or a bigger edge in play in all 4 of those games. But what we see is the Toronto Maple Leafs have raised their game considerably since then. And the Oilers, either in a lull, a bit of a lull here, we'll just write it off at that, but they are not at the same level as the Toronto Maple Leafs right now. Toronto's outworking them and outskilling them and out goaltending them at every turn here. And this is a real, it's good that this is happening right now. The Oilers are in a good position. They've taken a few losses, but they're still in a solid position in terms of making the playoffs. But if they're going to do anything in the playoffs, they're going to have to get by the Toronto Maple Leafs. So they're going to have to, there's a huge target right now in their heads. There has to be on how do we beat the Toronto Maple Leafs? And every player has got to be asking themselves that and thinking hard about how they're going to do it because they're not close right now. Toronto's clearly the better team. So that's a good thing that it's happening now rather than in the playoffs.
Okay.
All right, I'm sticking
Time
to it.
for a wake-up call. That's a good thing. They're certainly getting the wake-up call. If it was time for one, then they're certainly getting it.
Yeah, I think it says something about their work ethic, Bruce. That's what I would say is they're being outworked.
Toronto, I mean, they've come in, they've given a whale of 2 efforts. And we have to remember this is Toronto with their number 2 and then their number 3 goalie. Their number 2 goalie, Patrick Roy, and their number 3 goalie, Dominic Hasek, based on all evidence from the last 2 games. Or maybe it's just that the Oilers are having trouble finishing right now. We'll get to that in a minute. But also without their top player, Austin Matthews. But Austin Matthews has the same number of points in this series as all of the Oilers combined. So, it's
That
a
would have been
sad
a good
state
number.
of affairs when you put it like that. But they don't seem to miss him. I think this series actually hurts Matthews' case for MVP. Hey, maybe that should be my good thing.
That would be a good thing. It's not helping McDavid's case, though, Bruce, at all either.
Because Toronto doesn't appear to miss him. Man, they just chucked the crap out of the Oilers again. I think this game was, well, both games were the same in that the Oilers played well in the first few minutes, and then Toronto got a goal, and it was like sticking a big pin in the balloon. And then they got another goal right away both nights. And tonight they even got a third goal before the end of the first period. So 2 first periods was 5-0. And basically 2 second periods and 2 third periods are all garbage time because the games were over. So it's very, very, very frustrating to watch. But the time just wound down on this game, and was just tick, 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 and there was very little in the way of things to raise an Oilers fans' spirits as the time went down.
No, Toronto got stronger as the third period went on, and the Oilers, they gave up a real stinker of a chance against, which I'm going to get to here shortly.
And they finally blew their tops in the last minute. Smith started. So I didn't actually mind him sort of
I
standing
thought it
up
was
to
good.
something.
Yeah,
But
he
then,
got run there. Should have been a penalty.
it, yeah,
That's been called a penalty. Which Oiler got a penalty recently
Josh
for
Archibald got one
very
for getting
similar
tossed
play?
into the goalie by 6'8" Tyler Myers. Um,
Hmm.
anyway, it wouldn't have mattered. It didn't matter at that point anyway. But then there was another scrum at the next whistle, and then at the final whistle, which this might be my bad thing if I'd seen a replay, but I haven't. But at the 20-minute mark, Alex Chason took a 5-minute major in a game misconduct for cross-checking. So we'll see what comes of that. But the Oilers finally, their frustration bubbled over in that very last bit of play. So
What's your bad thing, Bruce?
just that general lack of finish. I mean, 2 games and 0 goals on like, what's it, 60 shots? Can't
Yeah.
remember exactly how many they had on Saturday. They had 31 tonight. Couldn't solve Michael Hutchison, who entered the season as Toronto's number 4 goaltender. I got promoted to number 3 when Aaron Dell got hurt, and then to number 2 when uh, the other buddy got hurt, Campbell. And then Anderson got hurt, and then Campbell got re-hurt, and now he's the number 1. We'll probably see Hutchison again on Wednesday, and why not? Seems like they could put Gumper the goalie out there at this point, and he'd shut out the Oilers.
Well, maybe they'll
So
go, Bruce, with Joseph Wall, who
yeah,
was
maybe.
number 60, who was on the bench for them. Is he?
Yeah,
Who
no,
is he?
that's true. He's their number 8 goalie. Like they got two. Their top 2 goalies are on the shelf, and they still shut out the Oilers. Like that's just a sad state of affairs when you already got shut out the previous game. Get a frickin' play going, make a play, and finish the damn play. I mean,
At least they hit the
oh,
net, generally speaking, but you
they
know
hit the goalie.
they hit the goalie.
Didn't
Like
hit the net at all.
Dominic Cahoon had 3 really good chances, like 2 5-alarm chances, right? And he gets that brilliant pass from Draisaitl after some great hustle by Kailer Yamamoto, who was hustling all night long and could have been my good thing if I think of like that would be another good thing. I thought he was hustling hard, um, but Cahoon couldn't bury it, and then he on a point shot. Early in the third period, Larson puts it on net after some really hard work by Puljujarvi and Draisaitl winning the puck. Cahoon gets another great chance, and that was a more of a bang bang play that maybe you'll score on, maybe you're not. But that first one, man, just drain that shot, score that goal, because that's what has to happen. Nuge early in the third period gets a chance, and he just takes a bit of time and gets an okay shot. Doesn't score on that. That was another 5-alarm chance where you just need a goal, and the Oilers were unable to get it. McDavid had a breakaway, I think, where he was unable to
I made
score.
the
So
play up.
they had 5 really, really good chances. They could have easily had 2 goals in this game, at least. Well, 2 goals is about what they earned, but they got nothing because they couldn't drain them. Bruce, my bad thing is the pairing of Evan Bouchard and Ethan Bear. This is an example of watch what you wish for. Every Oilers, well, not every, most Oilers fans were ecstatic, including myself, that Evan Bouchard and Bear would be in the lineup and Chris Russell would sit. But it was perhaps a lot to ask Evan Bouchard to play the wrong side of the ice, in the defensive end at least. In the offensive end, he had a number of really good sequences, which make you think, I hope he doesn't come out. I hope they can find a way to keep this guy in the game. But there was a couple, there was a really bad sequence on Toronto's first goal. And it starts off with Leon Draisaitl defending and kind of blocking the middle of the ice, and Bouchard gets his stick out there, and Draisaitl's skate catches Bouchard's stick. And Evan Bouchard seems to be holding his stick very lightly at that point because it knocks it out of his hand. Okay, you lose your stick in the defensive zone, but everybody's back. You just have to take your man. But he hesitated for a moment. He went for his stick, and he let his man get in behind him, and that was Zach Hyman getting the pass for a goal. And I half expected that Tippett would bench Bouchard for the rest of the game after that play. Such was the egregiousness of the error, a rookie error. But to the coach's credit, he went right back at him. But a moment later, Bruce, we have Nylander's goal,
Hmm.
and it was just a horrendous offensive or neutral zone face-off where both Yamamoto loses a battle and Cahoon loses Nylander. The two little wingers getting outskated and
Good.
overpowered on that face-off, and that was as bad as anything. But then Ethan Bear makes a bad read, so he's out of position, and Bouchard is Nylander's a very fast player. Bouchard tries to hunt him down and is unable to before Nylander gets a backhand shot, which is kind of a borderline A B chance. It was from far enough out that it's a B chance, but it's a hell of a shot because he picks the
It was a
corner.
wicked shot.
But on those two goals against, Bouchard was he wasn't the main culprit, I don't think, on the second goal, but he was the main culprit on the first goal. Then Bear, I didn't see a lot out of Bear, Bruce, honestly. Like, again, they had some good they had some good zone time in the offensive end, and you're going to get to that. But there was a chance in the third where I can't remember who walked in, but Tavares came over the blue line. And McDavid's back check on Tavares was just so anemic. And then he passes it to Morgan Riley, who's on Bear's side of the ice. Bear is missing in action. He's drawn to the puck carrier. Like Nurse and McDavid should have that guy, and Bear should be looking to cover Morgan Riley steaming in. And Morgan Riley goes in on a breakaway chance, which Mike Smith stopped. Although it may have hit the post, I'm not sure. Like I thought I heard a rather large clank sound there. So I'm not sure if it was. Well, you'll have to check that.
I'll watch for
Anyway,
that.
so
Yeah, I
that
didn't
was
quite
Bear.
get through the game.
They just you can't have those kind of major 5 alarm chances happening when you're on the ice, especially when you can't necessarily always count on your goaltending.
Yeah, well, it was Bear and Nurse that time, not Bear and Bouchard.
That was Baron Nurse. You're right.
That time. So
Nurse was a little too far back on that play too. Like gave up too much space to the attacker. Bruce, your number.
yeah, my numbers. I got a set of numbers and they're weird. 19-3, which is the shots attempts for the Oilers and against the Oilers during Evan Bouchard's 11 minutes on the ice tonight. 19 tries by the Oilers, 3 by Toronto. Shots on net during that time, 10-2. 10 for the Oilers, 2 for the Leafs. Total domination, right? Goals
No.
for with Bouchard on the ice, 0 for, 2 against. So Toronto scored on 2 of their 3 shot attempts, and Edmonton scored on 0 of their 19.
I wonder what the X goals for would be on. This is expected goals based on the quality of the shots. I wonder what that would be.
Yeah.
If Bouchard was on
Well,
the ice.
for Bouchard, it says 0.35 for, 0.17 against. So basically a 2-to-1 ratio, low numbers where his expected result really is 0-0, but it sure isn't 0-2. Holy moly.
Let's see, 75.
Like just a weird I mean, and as you say, I mean, he was not without responsibility on those 2 goals against, but the general flow of play was almost all in Edmonton's favor. And by the way, Coach Tippett did bench Bouchard for the last half of the first period. After that second goal, he never saw the ice again until the second period.
Okay, I missed that.
And Bear only saw it for the 1 penalty kill, and he got burned his unit got burned for a goal against. So he was on for all 3 goals against in the first period. So not a glorious night.
No. So neither of them contributed to one grade A chance. That said, there was some really great moments with Bouchard commanding the puck at the point and getting off shots and making plays. And man, I think if you want to win the cup, you go for it. You don't bench this player. Like I think you go the full Glenn Sather, and you always want to go full Glenn Sather, Bruce, with your players, if you want them to be confident attackers and Stanley Cup winning players. And the typical NHL coach benches the guy, doesn't play in the next game. Bad things start to happen. Glenn Sather says, "Get out there, buddy, and do what you do best." And so that's what I would hope is the Oilers' approach with Evan Bouchard right now. He is an outstanding offensive defenseman. And the Corsi numbers tonight demonstrate that, I think, rather well. And we've all known there's going to be some huge defensive gaffes. And maybe playing a rookie on his offside is Could that possibly be related to it? Why can't Ethan Bear play the other side? He's a much more experienced professional player. So I didn't really get that, but yeah, the Oilers have a tough choice to make in terms of what they're going to do with Bouchard or Bear. To me, Bear hasn't shown a lot since, all year, honestly, and since he got back in the lineup, he's been struggling more this year. So they're not going to sit Larson,
No.
nor do I think they should, and they're
I
not
have
going to sit
my doubts
Heiskanen.
about Barry sometimes. Man, he has some weak defensive moments.
He does.
Some weird decision making and just soft on the battles. He's easily outmuscled or overpowered. And tonight there was one on the penalty kill where a pass went astray and went past him, and he was the closest guy to the puck if he went for it, and he decided to back off and give Toronto a full 2-on-1, half the ice in. That was kind of weird. As for Bouchard, I mean, being on the wrong side, we saw one advantage of that lineup tonight when Drew Jarkara again set him up with a cross ice fast pass, and Bouchard absolutely blasted a one timer. It was from outside our grade A area, but it was a rocket and it was right on the corner of the net. It was a very good save by Hutchinson despite the distance because it was a one time blast. That was very well placed, but that was. That's the upside of this guy is he really does have a great shot, and we know he's a good distributor of the puck, and it's just a matter of managing his situations that he's not out there against William Nylander trying to play left defense against a nifty dangler, right shooting dangler coming down against him, right?
And that was down Bear's side of the ice, frankly. I
Yeah,
don't
well,
know.
that's the Nylander. I
Where's
guess
Ethan
it
Bear
was.
on that play? Honestly, really. Bouchard's obvious. Oh, he's Bouchard's slow, but where's Ethan Bear? He made a bad read in the neutral zone,
Mhm.
and he's caught flat-footed.
Yeah, the
So,
play got
um,
behind him altogether.
yeah. All right.
Dave, your number.
Two. And this is kind of
Oh,
burying the lead. We probably should have started with this, but you're never going to win a game when you're rarely going to win a game when the other team starts with two shots and they're both goals against. And the first one was a very tough play. It was a play into the slot by Hyman. The second one by Nylander, I do think he should have had it. We rated it as a B chance in the end because it came from far out. But it's not like it's just the totality of five grade A chances in the first period for the Leafs and three goals against. And we've been saying this all year with Koskinen. It's not like any one goal necessarily is horrible. Like the third goal win on off Nurse, right? That's not Koskinen's fault. But you've got to make a save. You've got to be in the way. You've got to block some shots. So, there might be some people defending him right now. Well, none of these goals were too horrible and one goes in off Nurse and why are you blaming the goalie? But no, in the NHL, an NHL goalie stops 3 out of 4 grade A chances. 3 out of 4. And Koskinen in too many games has let in 3 out of 4. It's happened probably 4 or 5 times this year where that's been his ratio. And he's got to do better.
well, I was thinking it was time that he went net and that Smith needed a night off, so Koskinen gets a real fail for A, getting beat for the 3 goals, and B, not even giving Smith the night off because now they got no choice but to come back with Smith on Wednesday, and now he'll have played 5 games in a row, 38-year-old. And I've
Yeah.
seen a couple times where we've heard that during the TV timeout he was stretching and stuff, and whether he's nursing something, I mean, there's no way to know. But it just makes you a little bit concerned. That said, uh, since Smith returned to the lineup, Mikko has got a 927 save percentage. Even including tonight,
Really?
where he gave in 3 on 10. Yeah, well, he made 40 saves in Ottawa and he made 43 saves against Calgary. Both times, Dave Tippett rewarded him by benching him for over a week
He
before his
he
next
prob
start.
yeah, he
So
probably should have played that first game against the Leafs. I mean, really that might have been the
one of the
moment.
Vancouver games. And anyway, it is what it is. I mean, Tippett's obviously tied his He's going with Smith. And I'm sure the puck handling is a big part of it. He likes the way Smith organizes defense and gets them the puck in safer positions and then, pursuing it behind to the end wall with an opponent hot on their heels. And he clearly values that. And he's not wrong. I mean, it does have value. And when it comes to stop, I mean, last year we had a similar thing where Koskinen was actually the way better stopper, but Smith had the as good or slightly better record uh, because there are other aspects to his game, and some thought it was just because luck of the draw a little bit. He got more goal support, but anyway, this year it's clear that Tippett's. I mean, when Smith gave up three in the first period in Vancouver, he didn't get pulled, right? But tonight, Koskinen was not afforded that luxury of playing his way out of it. And I'll give Smith all kinds of credit. He came in, and he was strong in the last two periods. He played good.
He really did, and he's looked good almost every game this year.
Uh, there was an excellent segment today on Jason Greger show with Kevin Woodley, the goaltending expert, which
Mm-hmm.
he certainly is. And he talked about Smith and all the work that he did this summer, working on some core body issues and some technique issues that keeps him from falling forward on his belly, right? You remember how many belly flops
On
he did last
breakaways,
year?
yeah,
And he's still doing a little bit on breakaways, Woodley said, but just in regular play, he said last year there was lots of times where he was on his belly and he really didn't need to be. And then what the hell can you do once you're down there? I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
that was Ben Scrivens. Remember they used to call him the bear rug? Laying on the ice, looking up at that's what the Anaheim Ducks a nickname for Ben
I
Scrivens
didn't
was the
know that.
bear rug.
That's very generous.
Anyway,
That's a very generous name for it.
yeah, not really. Anyway, it was something that was an identified weakness in Smith, and to his credit, 38 years old, he worked his butt off apparently. And I mean, Woodley's not a guy to sugarcoat stuff. Like he was less than glowing about the Oilers' new acquisition in goal, Alex Stalock, that they picked up on waivers
Oh
today. But
yeah,
he had lots of kind things to say about Mike Smith and his ability to sort of keep vertical over his pads. He said he gets into a lot of technical stuff, and he really does know his stuff and about the dorsiflexion in his ankles, for instance. Amazing. Anyway,
he
but
doesn't
he
like
was talking about
Stalock.
his ability to be able to track the puck on his knees as opposed to falling forward as he moves. He said he used to go limbs first, where he'd move his arm and then his body would follow, and now he's head first, where his head moves and the body follows, and he says way more control. And he had, and I mean, if Mike Smith is able to do stuff to change his game at age 38, my hat's off to him. And the question is now, will he be able to maintain that? And how much will his game come apart if he does start to slump? Because he's known to be pretty erratic. But sounds like his technique, like Woodley said, I mean, he looks like a real, basically, he looks like a normal NHL goalie with some of the skills that were previously identified as weaknesses.
Excellent analysis by Kevin Woodley, and thanks
Oh,
for passing it
that
on.
guy's outstanding.
He
So,
truly is. What did he say about Stalock?
he said he's great in the room. The teammates love him. They play for him. He's a good puck handler. But he said his statistics, which looked decent, right? Like he was 910 last year,
Yeah,
259 or something,
yeah,
269, something like that.
yeah,
So, yeah. But he got them on a team that's really good at suppressing
yeah.
great chances for the other team. And that was a team stat that when you adjust for the quality of shots, that he was actually near the bottom of the league. So I was a little surprised to hear that. And he said, don't have too high expectations. He's an excellent number three goalie. But he said, even next year, and this was before he started talking about Mike Smith, so he said, even for next year, Mike Smith is a better bet than Alex Stalock. And I was really surprised to hear that. But then when he later went on to describe Mike Smith, I could get a better idea of where he was coming from. Of course, Stalock's under contract for not just this year, but next year. So he does solve the Oilers' goaltending uh, how they can expose a player to Seattle. And some might say after tonight expose Koskinen and protect Stalock, but
Doesn't
they will.
Koskinen have a no move?
He has a limited no
I don't think you
trade, so
can.
he
I
can
don't
be
think you can
exposed.
expose him.
He
But
can be
you,
exposed. The
can you
limited
not
no trade.
expose Skinner or
There was a way, but if Staylock, unless they somehow lose him on waivers again, they got him. I think they're going to keep him on the roster, and I do think
Yeah,
they got him. So I think he'll be the guy that can be placed, made accessible to Seattle. Not that they're going to pick him, but just he covers that off.
with
And
with Cuckoo hurt,
hmm,
they now
Shea,
have a spot. They don't have to protect, like it's easier because otherwise you had to protect all nine defensemen, or you're going to lose one of them in the waiver draft, right? Yeah,
well,
you had to have all nine defensemen on your active roster, which is hard to do. And so, but now they don't have to do that. They have a spot that they can keep a goalie. I just
have
wonder,
you
Bruce, if
been?
they're going to trade a defenseman. They have all of these. They have eight
Well, they're down
defensemen
to
who can
eight.
play,
They're
and
down to eight. What are you going to get for him? I mean, guess if you can find a top six winger, you got to think about it. But
yeah, well, that's what I am thinking.
mhm,
On the other hand, they might want to keep them all because they're going to lose probably a defenseman in the expansion draft, and
right,
then so you're going to need, like, if you lose one of Jones, Bear, or Lagos in the expansion draft, it'll be good to have the other two essentially.
right.
So that might be their thinking as well, and that's probably is their thinking. So
Anyway, Alex Stalock's got about 150 NHL games. Like he's a legit number three,
yeah,
and he's under contract for next year. Well, he's still a legit number three that would likely go to Bakersfield, but be available if one of the goalies got hurt, which is what your number three is all about. This year, he's would be a taxi squatter. I think like he'll stay on the roster because Holland's twice burned trying to move a goalie down to the taxi squad, and he's probably going to be loath to try that again.
I
So,
think he knows how important it is too, as well, right?
yeah, well, I mean, hopefully Smith and Koss can just stay healthy and we never see the guy. But the unfortunate thing was it was during that time of chaos at the number three position was the time that Smith was hurt. And if Anton Forsberg had been around, he probably would have played 3 games out of the 13,
Hmm.
maybe,
Hmm.
maybe even 4 if he played well.
Yeah,
Whereas Koskinen played 10 in a row and Skinner came in and got the win but got lit up and then, was sort of proof positive. Now we better stick with Koskinen until Smith is ready. So they did pay a price for not having that third goalie. And at the same time, the rationale for keeping those defensemen and not waiving them was proven out. So you can make an argument both ways. But now I think there's no argument but to keep Alex Stalock on the roster, and you've got a plan C if you need one.
and as we see from the Toronto Maple Leafs, it's absolutely crucial to have that plan C. So I'm glad the Oilers have solved that problem. That was that was fortuitous, maybe. I don't know. Compared to the other goalies that have come off the waiver wire, Stalock does seem like he's got a lot more experience than some of them, than Forsberg or Comrie or Grosnick. Some of the other names who have been moving around. That doesn't mean he's a better goalie than they are, but he does have more NHL experience.
He
So
played 38 games last year, and basically I think Smith played 39 and Koskinen played 38, so it's basically the same. He played half of Minnesota's games, 20 wins, 11 losses, and 4 other losses. So, pretty good results. And so, he's a legit NHL caliber goalie with that many games, and he's 33 years old, so he's, right in Ken Holland's wheelhouse of ancient goalies.
Sarah McClellan of the Star Tribune in Minneapolis reported that he had COVID. He had COVID earlier this year, Stalock, and he has also been injured. So he has
Uh,
he has yet to play for the team this year, and he's just working his way back into shape. So the 2 week quarantine, actually, I don't know if he can practice or not. I would imagine he could practice with a goalie coach. You'd think. Um, Even as I don't know, maybe you can't.
right.
Maybe quarantine is just sitting in your room. Um, and if that's the case, that'll set him back because he hasn't been playing. But so that's what he's been going through this year. So I,
Yeah,
I,
there's
I
one
like the
other
move a lot.
one other weird item on him that I just remembered, and I haven't had I just learned about this during the game tonight. Um, I sent you a DM. and that is a headline. Stalock reveals he developed heart condition after COVID-19 diagnosis. And this is a short story. It says Edmonton Oilers goaltender. So this is today. It's not like this is something that was out there. Edmonton Oilers goaltender Alex Stalock revealed to the Athletics' Michael Russo, Minnesota guy, that he was diagnosed with myocarditis after testing positive for COVID-19 in November. So that's trouble. So we'll see if that, I mean, it's scary on one level. We'll see if I'm sure he'll have to pass the physical when he gets here, and that may change things because that's a drag. That's an illness that has, threatened the permanent health of some athletes, and it's been known to cause, I think myocarditis. That's the one that caused death in a couple of the basketball stars that just dropped. But that's the one thing with COVID and heart that like there's been some feedback of athletes getting COVID and then coming back with this myocarditis, and he's one of them. So just something to watch for. Hopefully it's not serious, but
Yeah, I'm wondering like if there's a range of that disease where some of it's
right.
obviously fatal and others just it's mild, and hopefully he's on the mild side. He does obviously have the long COVID because
Hmm.
it's taken him a long time to get back, and that's why he hasn't been playing.
We'll
Well,
see if
Bruce,
it's the solution to the problem or just a different version of a problem. But hopefully, I mean, that's just something to
he
watch
has
for.
been on the ice in Minnesota, so that's the good news. Like it's not like he's still in his bed, you know,
Right.
convalescing. So, alrighty. Well, Bruce, let's leave it there. Hopefully, we'll have something a little bit more cheerful to talk about. Like we
A
just,
goal would be nice. Jeez.
indeed, indeed,
Toronto shuts out the same opponent in back-to-back games. First time since 1954, before I was born. Before I was born. It's the last time Toronto did this.
just suck.
Back-to-back shutouts against the same opponent.
You know, it would suck worse though if Toronto wasn't clearly the better team. If you ask me, like it's just like
Better team
I
won.
yeah, the
Yeah.
better. Like I can accept that. I wasn't happy,
Me
obviously,
too.
in the like I hated watching this game and I hated the first period and
Yeah.
hated much of the game. But on the other hand, I have newfound respect for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I didn't think they were a great team based on the first four games I saw the Oilers played against them, but they're a very very good team, and they're going to be a huge challenge to get past in the Canadian division. So I'm looking forward to it. It's it adds to the season on a certain level. I wish the narrative was that the Oilers were that team, that the
Oh
Oilers had
yeah.
developed into that team, but they're not. That's the fact. And Toronto is. So it's this mountain to climb for the Oilers this season. And there's enough time, and the Oilers have enough talent, I believe, if they utilize all that talent um, to um, to get by this team, to get by the Leafs. And I mean, the Oilers are going to add some players at the deadline. So the Leafs probably. They're also going to add Holloway, a really exciting player who's just absolutely crushing it in college hockey. I think they're going to add Holloway. So that's going to be a feature to their team, which could be significant. So it's going to be, can Dave Tippett bring along these young players? So far, Tippett has done, and I'm going to give him credit here, like he really has done a good job with his young players, hasn't blocked them. And so I just hope that's the case because I think if you can get better chemistry on the top two lines, which I think has been missing all year, better chemistry on those top two lines, add in Holloway, get Bouchard going. This is a good team, and it can beat the Toronto Maple Leafs in the playoffs. But it's going to be a big mountain to climb.
Toronto's got some nice depth players, so I mean, you gotta. I mean,
Yeah,
you don't if you didn't know before this weekend who is Pierre Engvall and
yeah,
Mikheyev and
Heim.
of course Zach Hyman. Just beauty, grinder players. All those guys. It just didn't give anybody an inch in either game, and there always seems to be at least one of them out there on the ice getting in the way, right? So
And Spezza and Thornton, like these two veterans, are still playing really well. So no,
yeah,
this is a good team. But I
and their
think
number three goalie is Dominic Hasek. I mean, there's that too, right?
and their number eight goalie is the Bulin Wall. All right, Bruce, let's leave it there. Thanks for
Yeah,
talking
you bet.
tonight.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.